we're back again. Okay, so I just did another increase row here, going across and across the other one, and then purled back across here again. Okay, so we've done 2 increase rows. You can see there's one right here. It's a little bit of a bump out, and then one right here is a little bit of a bump out. Okay, we're halfway finished with this leaf. Wow, already. How can that be? Well, yeah, if you measure, this is going to be about 8 centimeters. Here we go. We're going to put it on, I should probably just do it this way. Okay, so look at that. 7.5, between 7.5 and 8. That is halfway up my 15 centimeter sleeve. So we've done 2. We have at least one more that we're going to do, one more increase, and then we're going to decrease. What? Why would you do such a thing? Okay, so this is it. We're going here, increase, okay, so that we go across. But we're going to decrease a little bit as we go in, because you remember a diagonal is longer than a straight line up. Okay, and we don't really want it to go straight and go across the top, because then it would look weird. We have to go in a little bit. Okay, so we'll show you how to do that. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to speed through and get, we're going to go up. We've already done, oh, where's my pencil? I have a pencil right here. I'll use my pen. We've already done, if this is the ribbing, okay, then we've done an increase right here. We've done an increase right here. We have one more increase to do, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3 increases, and then we are going to do 1, 2 decreases. It will make sense, okay? It will make sense. So here, 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 and then we're going to do 1, 2. And we're going to do the decreases a little bit differently. A little differently. Anyway, so right now, I'm going to power through and do some knitting. When you're shaping the sleeves, because this is going on a doll and not on a person, it doesn't matter too much if there are little bunches underneath the arm, or there are little bunches, you know, some stitches are bigger than other stitches. We will hide those when we sew it. Okay? The sewing part will hide some of the mistakes. And especially if it's your first sweater, you know, give yourself a break. You're making a sweater. You're making a sweater. It's a freaking sweater, right? Okay. This is something that people pay a lot of money for from a doll company, but we don't have to pay for it because we have knitting needles and yarn and coronavirus that tells us we can't go anywhere. I am not wearing a mask while I wear this video, but I just want to say I wear a mask every single time I set foot out of my apartment. I live in South Korea. We have very few cases, and one of the reasons we have very few cases is because everybody wears a mask. There is no hoax about it. We have like 50 cases a day in one of the densest populations in the world, and the reason is because everyone wears masks. There are people outside my apartment right now, 7 floors down, walking on the walking path, every one of them wearing a mask. Okay? Wear your mask. Everybody. 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 Okay. This is going to be completely, you know, that mask speech will be in my video for a lot longer than the coronavirus will. However, it goes with being sick and stuff too. One of the things that I've learned with living in Korea is that when you're sick, if you wear a mask, you don't get other people sick. Also, in the cold and flu season, you don't get the flu. Serious. Don't get the flu. Darn it, I didn't slip the stitch. See, this is what happens when I'm talking instead of paying attention to what I'm doing. And this is weird. Okay. Alright, well, you know what? I'm going to hide it when I sew it. So, whatever it does, it does. Okay. If you lose count and you can't remember if you did an increase this row, or was it last row, or did you do it 2 rows ago, or 3 rows ago, or 4 rows ago, this is one of the reasons that we have, we always go front and forward and backward, and then we never increase on a purl row. So now we can count. We can actually see. I have one here. I have one here. Right there. Okay? So in between these two, I have 3, and I have 1, 2, 3. So now it's time for another increase. And you can also measure. So if you have your measuring tape here, and I know that, I'm going to do it the other way around. Okay, so in this case, we did, starting from here, we did our increase at 3 centimeters, and then again at 5 centimeters, well, hold there, like 2.5, and then at 5 centimeters, then it should be 6, 7.5, so we're right at the right time. See, it's right at 7.5. So we're going to do another increase row. This will be our 3rd increase row, and then we go back and forth a couple times, and then we'll start our decrease rows. We are shaping the arm as we go. Now, if you wanted a longer sleeve so that it falls off the doll's hand, goes over the doll's hands, my suggestion would be to make a longer ribbing at the end. Okay. I'm not going to talk for right now because I want to make sure that I remember to increase at the end of this row. Yeah, right here. Increase. Okay. Now this guy. So this is the last of our increase rows. I know it still seems really short. Don't worry. It is really short. But we have a good 2/3 of the sleeve left to go. No, 1/3 of the sleeve left to go. And then the shaping of the arm actually takes a little bit longer than a few more rows than I ever expect. So even though the math feels weird, math is weird to me, I never appreciate it as much as I use it. So, okay. Now we're going to purl across. If this is boring, you can speed up. Oops. Slip. Okay. We're just going to go across here and then do... So this is the purl after our increase. The purl row after our increase. And we're pretty far along here in terms of the length of the sleeve. Okay? Every single day, every day in the morning, they are mowing the lawn and weed whacking. One of the things in Korea, they don't really have lawnmowers, so they have to use the weed whackers all the time. It's okay. It's just that buzzing noise. It drowns out the cicadas, which will be coming out pretty soon. Actually, we already have cicadas out, so. Okay. Almost done with this row. I am going to actually close the window. The cat's in the window right now, and she's being so good. But because they're making so much noise outside, I can't imagine you could hear anything except that horrible drone. Could turn on my Nintendo Switch. You could listen to Civilization going on in the background. Should I tell you what's happening? I can give you all the gossip. Yeah. John Curtin has just taken over the Mexican Empire. Yeah, I know. It's so terrible. Why would he do such a thing? He said he wanted allies in the fight against the dogs of war, blah, 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 blah. But then he goes and he takes over the Mexican capital. I get my drama from Civilization video games. Okay. Here we have our sleeve, and it is about 2/3 of the way up. Let's measure again. I always have my measuring tape with me while I'm doing these things. I want to make sure that it all fits. Yeah, look, 9 inches, or 9 centimeters. 9 centimeters, we're doing really well. Okay, 9. And that means we have 6 centimeters to go. So we went over and back once. We're going to go over and back one more time. I'm going to pause it. Magic. And we'll start up again. Okay, so I have one increase here. I have one increase here. And I have one increase here. And then I went back and forth 2 more times, right? So that we have 3 increases. Now this would be, if we were going in the same pattern, this would be where we do another increase. But we're not going to do another increase here. Instead, we are going to start decreasing here. But instead of binding off stitches, we're going to knit 2 together. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, we'll get started here. Lay everything out. All right. Instead of going through 1 stitch, we're going to go through 2 of them and pull it through. Okay? One more time. Boom. Whoa, whoa. Okay. I'll do it closer. Okay, so here I have my stitches 1, 2. Usually we just go through this stitch, but this time we're going to go through both of these, the 2 of them, okay? And then grab our yarn and pull it through. This is knitting 2 together. Sometimes in patterns you say K2 tog. Yeah, that's knitting 2 together. Then we're going to go to the end here. We're just going to knit like regular. But on the other end, if we did that, we would have a weird angle. So instead of knitting 2 together, we're going to slip, slip, knit. Bob, bob, bob. We have 2 left on the end, right? So now, instead of knitting 2 together like this, we're going to do slip, slip, okay? Do you see how now there are 2? Now I'm going to go back through here, put this back through, and then I'm going to, alright, so slip, slip, 2 are slipped. I'm going to put this in here, out of my little crisscross, and I'm going to take this around and pull it through those 2, whoops, that I just slipped. So now they're all turned the right way, and I have a little extra yarn, whatever, there. Okay, so we have decreased 1 here, and we've decreased 1 here. Let's go back to the other one. On this end, knit 2 together. Okay, then knit across your row. Now there's a baby crying outside. And the weed whacker. And traffic. Alright, I have 2 left. So I'm going to slip this one. Slip this one. And then we're going to go through and knit them together. This just makes them turn that way instead of that way. So it'll have a nice little angle like that. Okay, now we're going to purl through the next rows. Remember, we're going to do this 2 times, and we have 4 rows between, or back and forth. Slip the first stitch, purls, and then so we'll do, after we get to the end of this row, we will knit and purl 1 more time, knit row, purl row 1 more time, and then we're going to do the same decrease, and then we'll knit 1 row, purl 1 row 1 more time. But then we have to have a capping row, and I'll talk to you about that. Okay, there's that. At the top of each sleeve, you need a cap, and what that is it's going to be the part of the sleeve that we're going to sew onto the shoulder, and it needs to be a little bit longer on the top. We need to have sort of just like one, almost like a seam allowance when you do sewing. We kind of have that same sort of thing here. It's The shoulder cap is just going to give it a nice, I don't know, stretch in there. Okay. Now we just knit across and one and purl across one. I don't know, I feel like this video is going to be longer just because I'm talking while I'm knitting. Usually I'm watching something. Lately it's been Supernatural. I like that show. Actually, you know what? I watch Supernatural until I get to a certain point where I'm like, what? And then I turn it off, and then I watch it again, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Until I can't suspend the disbelief anymore. Then I watch true crime. Oh, it's petting time again. Cat wants me to pet her. She has a little box right next to where I work. Or I'm sitting at my desk. Oh man, my apartment's so messy. I'm not going to show you my apartment. But I will show you my desk area. Okay. Pearl rows. I did it again. I switched the wrong way. At this point, I don't care though. If they get twisted, they get twisted. I can always untwist them later. Ugh, this is going to be a 17-18 minute video. Oh, I've got a little bit of time. I'm running out of space on my phone for all of these, so I have to really watch the time. It isn't that I have, a lot of stuff on my phone. I kind of do, but I just don't have a lot of space on my phone. I didn't pay for one of those 2 terabyte phones or anything like that. No, it's 64 gigabytes. I've already deleted a bunch of stuff. Whatever, my phone is better than my camera. My actual video camera is kind of sucks. Okay, I'm almost done with this row. So we're going to increase one more row after this and go up 6. Wait. Let me measure first. This is where it's important to measure every time, because if I say 6 rows and then I'm like, except 6 rows is going to be too much. So what I really need is 5 rows. So I'll use the bind off row as a cap, which means I would do a stretchy bind off instead of a straight one. Okay, so let's measure. Where are we now? Yeah, see. We're at 11.5 stitches, or 11.5 centimeters. 11.5 centimeters. And I need to be 15. And I'm averaging about 2.5 centimeters per row. Yeah, I think I can only do it one more time. Okay, decrease row. Knit 2 together. After I do this decrease row, we'll take a look at it and then we'll take a little break. I'll pause the video and we'll finish up when we get to the top. But I want you to see how the decreases look. Okay. So, what we have is on our sleeve is we have it going out, 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 and then in. Okay? Usually I would do one more in. Like when I do the SD sweaters, it works differently, but the MSD sweater, this is smaller and I'm not really used to this. Okay, so we're doing out, out, out to this point, and then in. Now this point is going to be the same point on our sweater where we, look at this, where we are going to sew this on. Okay, so it's going to go like this, and then up, and then over around to the other side. Okay. It looks about right. Okay. So I'm going to pause now. You guys go on up to the cap, to your 15 centimeters, and then when we get to 15 centimeters, our next video will be about, you can just do regular bind off the same way that you did here, bind off the same way you did here. Okay. And our next video will be putting it all together.